Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video, and I got to experience a very epic lobby on the cusp of getting to 2400 rating on my journey of zero to hero on Shadow Priest. I got a solo shuffle lobby with AWC champion Sidu versus AWC competitor Meep versus AWC finalist Smexen. It's a stacked lobby. There's a lot of kicks and a lot of grounding totems that we're going to have to work through on our little Shadow Priest here in this round. We're starting off with the Dark Ascension, Power Infusion, Shadow Crash, triggering the first stun to Fear the Monk on their cooldowns and their Zwen and crowd control them. Now they're popping big cooldowns with the Celestial Conduit. We're going to pop Vampiric Embrace and Fade to immune some of their incoming burst, purge off the mind control effects of the incoming priest on our Shaman so that they can stay on target. And you can see that this priest, Meep, is playing a nasty trick on us. He's playing Thought Steal, so he can steal Vampiric Touch from us, which makes me totally useless and is actually making me think that maybe this could be a counter to Shadow Priest, is actually a priest healer with Thought Steal, because you're very useless in the opener if you can't apply Vampiric Touch through any means. I am focusing my fears predominantly on the Windwalker Monk in this matchup, with silences going in onto the priest and stuns going in onto the priest. This is to try and crowd control two targets at the same time and isolate the Shaman. Trying to chase the priest around with Greater Fade and a monk training me and a Tremor Totem from the Shaman is a gauntlet that I really don't want to put myself through, so I'd rather be just getting the fears on the easy target, which is the monk that's right nearby, getting the silence and stuns onto the healer, which are ranged, and doing the best that we can. Now, this lobby is hyper competitive. You see how fast these kicks are? These guys are kicking me a millisecond into my cast, and then I started trying to juke a little bit earlier, a little bit later. I just could not get through them. The mind games was too much at this level of play. We got our Dark Ascension available here, and we're going to have to look to try and get that off through a Wind Shear. I'm trying to fake it with the Mind Flay, once again going for fears onto the monk. The nice part about fearing the monk also with dots is that the priest will have to tank a Vampiric Touch Dispel, which will horrify them. So it's CC, either the monk sits a fear or the priest is going to CC themselves. So using fear under the melee DPS like that, it's like a win-win. No matter what, I'm going to get somebody CC'd as long as I make sure I have Vampiric Touch on the target. We're going to disperse some of the incoming cooldowns there of the Windwalker Monk. We get gripped away to safety as well. And we're going to go right back to trying to reload dots. Life swap the Shaman because he's kind of getting blasted there. Windwalker, Ellie, Shaman. These guys do a lot of damage now on the current patch with all the changes that came through on this Tuesday. We had to use another life swap. I also life grip him, try and get him a little bit extra distance. We fear the monk again, but this time with no dots. Thankfully, Sidu gets a chastise here on the priest to prevent his dispel into a hex, and we're trying to keep the chain going here. We silence the hex. We don't want our healer getting crowd controlled at this moment in time while they're in a capacitator totem stun. We're leg swept. I could have triggered this. I think the main reason I didn't is because I wasn't really in trouble, but honestly I probably should have to keep my pressure going because things are getting really tense here. We stun the priest for a second to try and get him crowd controlled, but they're just so tanky. Ellie Shamans and Windwalker Monks are very hard classes to do damage as a Shadow Priest and actually get it to sink in. So we go for Void Torrent. We're trying to desperately mind control the Shaman. They're putting down grounding totems to stop our mind controls. We fear him on his Fists of Fury. We're trying to slow down as much damage incoming as possible here. We try and Shadow Death the Hex. It's not on us, so it's not too big of a deal. We Shadow Crash to reload dots on the Shaman that's turtling. Sidu pushes in for a Chastise Fear. Monk ports away. We're just going to Mind Blast the Shaman here while we've got some time. Toss up a couple of powered shields. We've got our Silence available, but he's got Precognition, so I chose to silence the Shaman to try and stop damage here because we're just kind of just falling over to nothing at this point, and it's coming down to the absolute wire in round number 1 at this point. Both teams pretty much working with nothing. We fear the Windwalker again. We dispel. We get a nice VT dispel. We stun the dispel as well in the fear. I'm just trying to stop damage at all costs. Just slow the bleeding. Try and keep the boat above water because we're taking on water right now and trying to keep it a little bit longer in round number 1. But they're able to swarm us. They're able to take us down towards the tail end. And honestly, this is probably one of the hardest matchups I've seen, which is the Windwalker Ellie Holy Priest. And I do actually wonder if this could be a composition that is viable in the AWC that is starting next week as a counter into some of the Shadow Priests, because basically everything about the comp counters you. Priest has multiple dispels. Priest is able to steal your Vampiric Touch with Thought Steal. Shamans are very disruptive and tanky to your dot damage. Windwalkers are very disruptive and tanky to your dot damage and have the power to punch through some of your defense. I actually think that that composition in general could actually be a really kind of meta-defining one. But we got round number 2. This is a hard lobby. You know, double priest healer is already pretty hard as Shadow Priest. We're going to Halo, Dark Ascension, same type of opener as we always do. Shadow Crash into a Devouring Plague, Void Torrent, big damage comes out. He locks it right away, and they dispel our dots, so we're really annoyed. He stole my Vampiric Touch with Thought Steal, so I don't have Vampiric Touch. I keep spamming it thinking that I've got it. I'm like, what do I do if I don't have Vampiric Touch? I guess I'll just spam Devouring Plague and Mind Flay and whatever lights up with a Mind Blast, and I'll just wait until I get Vampiric Touch back. But it feels like it's just 15 seconds of eternity where you can't really even do anything. I'm silencing the Ellie Shaman Shaman in the opener to try and slow damage, as opposed to kind of getting aggressive here with the Windwalker. I do think this is a matchup where if we survive, we're probably going to be able to come out ahead, given that we have a Mortal Strike, which reduces healing and a lot more pressure. We drop down the Siphene on the Shaman during the Paralyze on the Priest, and that got a lot of pressure. We double fear the DPS, and I'm still putting fears into the DPS, really just trying to annoy the enemy healer, take their dispels away, get them CC'd with Vampiric Touch Horrors, because the Horror doesn't DR anything also, and since I have fear from my Holy Priest or my Disc Priest in this instance, we've got fears covered on him, so it's nice to get like a little extra diminishing return. We're tossing in some Devouring Plagues. Mind Flay's trying to fake him. Can't, dude. We're at a very high level of competition at this point. We've gone from, 0 rated Shadow Priest who doesn't press Life Swap any rounds to almost 2400 rated Shadow Priest who still doesn't press Life Swap basically any rounds. But we're going to silence the Shaman here so he can't wind shear us on our Mind Flays, but then we get lassoed on our stun, and I did actually want to push in for fear there, and then I just decided, nah, you know what? I'm just going to hang back, kind of chill, just still toss fears defensively, just play more defense, kind of just focus on surviving, try and get my damage going, because my damage has been suffering a lot with this double priest. Need to purge his mind control, but he kind of gets pulled far away, and I got low health, so I disperse, and I just decide to abandon the push there in that instance. Devouring Plague, Mind Flay Insanity into a big Shadow Word Pain. I really like Catharsis. I feel like it gives you a huge amount of value as far as just like a little bit of extra instant burst damage, extra finishing power as well while you're getting attacked. Multiple grounding totems. This is like maximum tilt fest for me at the moment. Their Shaman, unfortunately, he runs away and actually respects the damage as I'm pulling him away from his priest. So my kind of turtled up nest strategy. So I silence the priest during the double leg sweep, and that gets a trinket. I try and move forward, but I get rooted, so I'm just going to stun him from ranged and fear DPS with the stun. And now he's going to have to tank a VT dispel, which he does, which then puts Smexen really low on health here, almost goes down. We get his Ray of Hope. We're blasting through with Void Torrents. We're ramping up with more Devouring Plagues. We get knocked on the Void Torrent, which is really tragic, as I'm not playing the move cast one, so it's going to completely interrupt it. And he stole my Vampiric Touch again. I'm so annoyed about this Thought Steal mechanic. Like, this has to, I swear this has to be a legit strat to do as a Holy Priest against a Shadow Priest as like a soft counter. But we're finally getting some rot here, but we're also getting blasted back, and you can see the competition at this level is quite high. I'm trying to maintain dots. The Shaman burrowed. We fake a kick. Maybe I can get some dots here onto the Enhancement Shaman. He's kind of low, so I silence the enemy healer. Void Torrent, just double grounding. There's 3 wind shears coming out of everywhere. There's nothing I can do. I'm just like raging at this point. He gets life gripped at really low health. I'm still just trying to keep my composure. Big Shadow Word Death. Trinket out the lasso, and it's a KO. We actually got a dub. In this lobby from hell for a Shadow Priest, where they're stealing my spells. They're kicking my spells. They're grounding me more than my parents grounded me as a kid. It has been a rough ride, but we actually got a win in round number 2. Now we get to play with Smexen. And honestly, I was pretty excited to try this comp with Smexen on Elemental Shaman, see how like Shadow Priest Ellie can do, especially given how much enemy healers like to dispel. There's a lot of dispel protection between Vampiric Touch and Flame Shock, where they take the knock up and they take the Horrify on the healer, so maybe it would be a bit punishing. But it's against a Windwalker Enhancement Shaman, which is high durability melee cleave. This is like one of the scarier melee cleaves you could get as a Shadow Priest, honestly. So I'm both excited and nervous at the same time at this level of play. We stun up the monk. We get a nice fear on the trinket. Try and go for a Shadow Crash Void Torrent, but these priests, man, the AWC competitors, AWC champs, they're just dispelling my dots instantly on my Void Torrent. I'm trying to snipe grounding totems as quickly as I can, trying to keep those reflexes going in this old 33-year-old done dad brain. Okay, we get leg swept. We're going to trinket that right away. We have a Psychic Scream here, which I could press on the DPS with a stun, but I actually move in because I can get close to get a fear onto the healer, try and put them a bit behind. Tremor Totem comes down to break it. We're kind of waiting for Karma at this point. Shadow Crash to reapply dots, trying to fake kicks with Mind Flays. It's super stressful because these guys, it's so unpredictable. Like, now I channel a Void Torrent, no one kicks it, but then I cast the next spell, it's instantly kicked, and I'm constantly trying to figure out when they're going to be interrupting, when are they not going to be interrupting me. But we've got nice Divine Plague pressure here, like an instant dispel. He knows exactly how my class works. He shuts me down every single time at every turn, but we get double fear from Meep onto Sea-Doo and the Windwalker. So we've isolated the Shaman. We can keep tearing in. We've got a Siphene available. We got Shadow Word Death proc, so we can get a lot of burst here and hopefully sink it in with that Siphene. Windwalker sees that, rolls over, looks to snipe it. I fake his kick, fear him over. We force the Guardian Angel. I try and Void Torrent, big Mind Flays. He dispels again, so I'm going to stun the DPS to punish the dispel, and I realize that I can try to punish these spam dispels on my dots by using stuns on the DPS right afterwards, so that way I can kind of lock them out of the game for almost the same amount of time that I was getting locked out of. And as soon as I realized it became a bit better, we Shadow Word Death the incoming Hex to break ourselves out of crowd control. Super important to be doing that, especially because this is so momentum based, like how much pressure they're building. We get defensive fear onto the DPS, so I would likely want to be trying to get fears on the healer now in this matchup because they're not attacking me. is where gears can shift a little bit. It's still decent, I think, to use fears. Like on the Windwalker's images here, I could have ran in and maybe tried to get a fear. I also just don't really want to get cleaved or swapped to, and I like pressing these siphons from max range, and hopefully they're distracted and they don't notice it. Monk rolls over for a quick little kick onto me, so I got to reload dots. Gonna get some dots on the healer as well, so they rot a bit. I panic void shift because I see slicing winds, and we all know how hard that ability can get. And you got to be quick, man. You got to be quick on your fingers. Like WoW Arena is like a game of chess, but it's like a chess on speed right now, and you're just like, I don't know, queen to e6, and then you're just playing bullet chess trying to predict where everything is going at the moment. But we're rolling our dots through. We're still trying to pressure. We're not completely on the bottom of the meter this time around at this level of play. We forced the shaman to run away behind the pillars. We're just going to void torrent. We don't care if Devouring Plague isn't up on him because we used it on the shaman. We're just going to swap. We need to keep our pressure going. We need to get our burst a bit higher. We need that entropic rift, that purple void circle on the ground, to be entering the fight as soon as possible, as frequently as possible. Honestly, I should probably shoot it on the shaman every time just because it got ported and it got kited, and that entropic rift actually didn't connect onto anyone, and it's a big portion of your burst. So we get put into an in-cap. I try and trinket fear, but Sea-Doo fades my fear, of course. This is what ADUC champ play is going to come through, but I silence his trinket, stun him afterwards. The monk is so low, he's at 1%, but I can't finish him, so we switch back to the shaman, panic void torrent. He survives at 1%, and I'm like, screw it, Sea-Doo's the only guy that I can hit. I shadow crash, DP him, pray, he dispels, he gets feared at 1%. I charge in, Devouring Plague, mind flay through the fade, and we manage to take him down. We've actually gotten 2 wins in this lobby. We're feeling pretty happy about this, considering like the durability and the classes and the disruption that's in this lobby. I was expecting to not be able to win a single game, considering we just started the Shadow Priest journey like a little bit over a week and a half ago, and this is one of the most difficult lobbies. You know, you get a Windwalker with a lot of shamans, a lot of kicks, or you get a Fury Warrior with a lot of kicks and a lot of groundings. Like this type of situation can most often be the most frustrating and impossible. But we got the Enhancement Shaman. This is probably the weakest comp in the lobby, Shadow Priest Enhancement Shaman. There's no Mortal Strike. There's no real kind of like bite to this composition that lets you kind of tear in and finish. And we're fighting a comp that's like really durable. So we got no bite and we're fighting tanks. It's going to be really rough. We get nice stun on the trinket, but here images are out. So I could fear those. I didn't want to fear into conduit. Celestial Conduit immunes crowd control. So we hold it. And then our priest gets a fear off that, grips us over onto the corner. We're trying to focus down the shaman, but look at these kicks, man. Just instant kick, not able to fake him. We got Shadow Death procs. I'm tossing stuns on the monk defensively, trying to fear his dispel to punish him, and just trying to get control of the damage as much as possible here. Moving into round number 4, dots are loaded out. Grounding Totem sniped out with the Shadow Word Pain. We got Mind Flay procs. We've got big Catharsis Shadow Word Pains and Shadow Word Death procs. So we're trying to get some crits, trying to get some bite, but it's just so hard, man. We're all barking no bite at this point. There's not even a Resto Druid in the game. Finally, some damage here with the Void Torrent, and I've gotten through the monk kick, but I don't want to get wind sheared, so I fake it towards about the halfway point. And I'm trying to keep my dots up with Mind Flay, and Sea-Doo's like, no, I'm dispelling this. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm reapplying Shadow Crash, Devouring Plague, more Mind Flays, try and keep the damage going, keep spam fearing. Well, I punished here because Sea-Doo dispelled dots, so I fear the monk and he's stuck in it. Then I reapply dots, he dispels the fear again and tanks a VT. So we get a little bit more of a horror. We get a fear off, but it gets tremored, and now I've got to reload my dots up with multiple interrupts. We stun the monk, he dispels it. I'm still annoyed, just trying to move away. Shadow Crash to reapply dots. Dots are falling off on the shaman though. Not able to keep them up, have to trinket. Now I have to get through a lot of kicks. Trying to fake some kicks with the Mind Flays here, but he's really not falling for it, so just go for the cast. He kicks it. We can just power shield and flash heal. Windshear's not too threatening, so I'll just support myself with a little bit of extra durability during that time. And now the kicks are down. Dark Ascension, fake the kick with Void Torrent, cancel that, spam Devouring Plagues, get that Entropic Rift as large as possible onto Smexon, trying to get a W. He's so low at this point, almost dying through wall. We swap to the monk even for a moment. He almost dies, but he gets the karma off. So we force major cooldowns and pushing him for fears, trying to get a double like Team Rocket. Now they're going to be in trouble, trying to blast through, fade some damage. We get knocked up in the air though, which is super annoying, honestly, as a Shadow Priest. The Whirling Dragon Punch can be really difficult to deal with, but we've got a stun. We're getting pressured back. We have Dispersion. We have Desperate Prayer. I toss out a Powered Shield, trying to slow the bleeding a little bit. We stun the monk. We get a fear. I try and pre-MD the fear, but I'm just a little bit too soon, and I would have got feared on it anyway, so it wouldn't have really mattered, but I was trying to make a clutch play. We silence up on the priest, trying to prevent some of his healings to get a Cap Totem out of the silence. So you got a nice little chain going here. I'm just going to Void Torrent. I don't care if it's the most effective. I didn't have energy to toss out a Devouring Plague, and I really want to ramp right now. Both priests go into Angel form. They're immune to CC. They're free casting heals, but I'm just tearing in. Look at this damage we got right now. I've got a Siphene available. I'm going to drop that down right away. Shadow Crash to reload the dots. Try and keep our pressure going on the Shaman. but he's managed to recover. Now our healer's in a paralyzed. We're both just dying at the same time. I'm desperately trying to heal up with Flash Heal. We traded out Desperate Prayer. It's about to fall. I get stunned, and they make a swap to the healer on the Void Shift. I'm not able to trade mine because I'm in a stun. And you get to see that things start to get hectic. But it is absolutely so much fun, and that's the thing. It's the journey of PvP where you start at the bottom, and you're like, I don't really know how my rotation works. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just dying, and then you get to the top level of play where you're entering like flow state, where you're trying to like mind game people, and you're thinking about your kit in a completely different way than you may have originally thought of to try and overcome different challenges and different puzzles. And to me, that's what's really fun about WoW PvP, is that you start off and you can level through this complexity and get to the top end, and that's what makes it so unique. That's what makes it so special and so awesome. So, and what I would recommend to anybody who's trying to go through it, maybe they're intimidated initially, that it's worth it once you're able to get through all of it. So here I'm trying to pre-Dark Ascension. I go for it when he gets the Cap Totem Stone. We got to kill the grounding off. Super hard to find it with how many totems are in here. I dodge the leg sweep, Shadow Crash, big dots. They instant dispel. He knows exactly how the mechanics of the Shadow Priest work. He's just shutting me out completely. We reload dots though quite quickly. Devouring Plagues come through. We got Mind Blast procs. I really love Void Blast. Super fun ability to press, but we're fighting against Meep, and he likes stealing my Vampiric Touch. So this is 15 seconds if I can't press Vampiric Touch. So I'm just going to spam Devouring Plague. I'm going to stun people and spam Mind Flay and hope that I can do some amount of DPS while I'm waiting for my spell to be returned to me, as Meep has rented it out from the Shadow Priest library. They have to pay a late fee on this one. It's taken quite a long time away here. Shadow Priest goes for Holy Fire, or Holy Priest goes for Holy Fire. You gotta be a bit careful of Holy Fire. Honestly, it can hit really hard now on Holy Priest, but we're gonna get back into big burst mode here with the Entropic Rift out with our Void Torrent, and you can see the cleave we're getting. I really like this, where I'm able to get like 2 target cleave with Life Grip away from the Windwalker, maybe go for a double fear here as they are kind of stacked. I kind of move towards the healer. Again, when I'm not getting attacked, I do play a little bit more aggressive towards the enemy healer. When I get attacked, though, I focus a little bit more on defense, and it kind of depends what I'm playing with, but we fake a kick. We got dots up. We're reloaded. We go for Dark Ascension. We can snipe off the grounding totem. We can move towards the priest. We get a stun. We look for a fear. We can get a fear. We get cross stun on the shaman. I've got silence as well, so we're going to silence him right when he gets tremored. Could have silenced the shaman there, too, to stop him from tremoring. Would have been a decent trade-off as well. And look at this damage we're doing with these Void Blast, Mind Flay, Insanity procs. We're just rock and rolling. Holy Priest is almost dying in the corner. We're almost double killing them, and we finished the Holy Priest with a huge Earth Shock from Smexon to be able to take out round number 5. And now we're moving into round number 6, and this is the lobby where I'm like so close to getting 2400. If I could just manage to win against double Shaman, Holy Priest, the ultimate, just, you're not casting a spell against us, and we're going to spam dispel your dots. If I can just get one more win, I'm going to feel really good about that. So we're going to have to try our best here. We've learned a lot in this type of matchup, how to punish dispels, how to reposition to get Siphons down, how to use fears defensively and to cover them in order to get casts and get pressure that can actually sink in a little bit later in the matchup. We're going to go for Halo, Powered Shield, min-maxing everything, Flash Shield damage reduction up. I'm doing everything I can to try and maximize every global. Shadow Crash, Void Torrent, they instantly dispel, and I'm super mad about it. And now they're popping Ascendants, multiple Ascendances, so I'm going to fear the Enhancement Shaman desperately and silence the Elemental Shaman. Another dispel comes for that, but the Enhancement Shaman sat in a full fear, and I can stun him now, and he's out of range of the priest using Angel Form in the back, so that forces a trinket. We got both trinkets from the Shamans. I'm probably just going to disperse here. You know, it's double Ascendants, Doom wins. I'd rather disperse there and not get one shot right. This is the final round. I really want to try and get this win. We get High Mountain Tauren stunned. I can't say that I've had that happen to me too much here from an Enhancement Shaman. So the High Mountain Enhancement Shaman trying to take me out, trying to wreck me. We've had dots loaded out. We're going to Shadow Crash dots on the healer as well, try and get a little bit of rot pressure considering their spam dispelling like this. Snipe off the Totem of Wrath, try and get through the grounding totems, work towards the next Devouring Plague, and keep spending Devouring Plagues to empower that Entropic Rift. I really like playing around that moment, try and get some burst damage. That's where your damage is going to be the most noticeable. We silence Devouring Plague up with the silence, so he can't dispel it instantly like he has been most of the time. Try and snipe the cap totems, but there's a lot of them. That was like 4 cap totems in a row. So we're not able to kill all the cap totems in time. We get a fake on the kick with the Mind Flay. It's another grounding. I'm trying to find it. There's an Earth Grab. Can't find it. Whatever. Don't care. It's already gone. And guess what? I'm dead. All right. And then I panic Void Shift because I'm low, but I was in Ray of Hope. So now I've just Void Shifted my low health to my Holy Priest, and now he's got to try and heal up through that. We are scared at this point. We fear the Dispel and the Stun on the Shaman to take the Enhancement Shaman out of the game for a moment, and I'm trying to reload dots while they're CC'd. We trinket out of the stun, Shadow Crash onto the healer. We're getting Windshield multiple times. We're just powered shielding through it. Void Torrent, Windshield again. Trying to get through this. Another grounding. Somebody killed it, thank God. Double Devouring Plague out here. We got Mind Flay procs. We got a big Catharsis Shadow Repaints as well. We're ramping up to try and take out the Shadow Priest, or take out this Elemental Shaman, but we get stunned. We're getting put behind. We're trying to keep Devouring Plague up. We silence the healer. preventing their cast with those holy lights, drop down a Siphene to try and limit the recovery, fear the enhancement shaman at the same time with the paralyze. And this is all with no communication. I've never played with any of these guys to any extent with this. So this level of synergy, this level of play to get that in a shuffle is really fun when you're able to get that. So we're getting nice little setups here. Onto the shaman, we forced lots of major defensive cooldowns. We finally got the last major one with Astral Shift and this angel form of sniping grounding tones with Shadow Pain, trying to get ready for the final push, trying to keep dots up on the target, although it just keeps getting spam dispel by these Holy Priests. And maybe Shadow Priest will fall out of the meta just because Holy Priest is so strong right now. We get a triple fear. That forces a double trinket tremor, and this is where the miscoordinations of shuffle come in. But now they've got massive damage crashing. I'm just going to disperse it right away. I'm not going to mess around with the cooldowns of an elemental and an enhancement shaman at the same time. These classes can absolutely crack. We swap to the enhancement shaman, silence the healer. Siphene is down, keeping pressure on the enhancement shaman. He's going for hexes, trying to shield up. Could have deathed this one, but I missed it. Now we've got the shaman stunned. I'm pulling him in the corner, far away from his healer, trying to bait him into a bad position. We paralyze the healer. We get wind sheared though. We can purge off some hots while we're kicked or get a flash heal. I try and fade the cap totem, but it's a double cap, so we're going to get hit by the second one. We fear him on the second cap totem though. We got pressure on the shaman, double leg sweep. We shadow crash over, trying to keep dots up on him as much as humanly possible. We got Void Torrent, instantly sheared again. We got to kill grounding totems now if we want to keep our pressure going. Our healer's in a stun. We get really low health here. We get a Ray of Hope up. I'm trying to go into Dark Ascension. I'm trying to finish the game. Shaman burrows down. I'm at 10%. Now it's Ascendance from the Elemental Shaman. He's cracking skulls, and I don't know who is going to go down at this point, but we Shadow Crash. We silence the Hex. We're pressuring the Enhanced Shaman. I'm not overextending. We drop down a Siphene to distract them so I can get some casts off here, and we are just so low on this final round, trying to get a win here out of nothing. We get double fear off the Dispel, punishing the Dispel. We take him completely out of the game. Void Torrent through, grounding's too late, and we snipe it. We get the win, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough, guys. It's still not enough. We snipe it, we get the win, and we're 23-92. We're in the AWC lobby, bro. We've went from 0 rated Shadow Priest all the way trying to get to Hero. We try and take down the final boss of the AWC, and we get to 23-92 in that lobby. We were so close. We'd come so far. And this guy's 666 million damage. This Enhanced Shaman is the sign of the devil right here. But we get so close. We're on the cusp of getting it. We're on the cusp of getting it. So just wanted to give you guys this update. Give you some commentary as well for this lobby because I thought it was really fun. And sometimes you get a lobby or a moment like this that is really high levels of intensity, and it's really cool to be able to play it out. And that's kind of what you're living for, right? On the game, that's what you're living for, is that flow state, high level intensity and gameplay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this shuffle, and thank you guys very much for watching. As always, if you want to make sure you're staying up to date with news, educational content related to World of Warcraft, then make sure to smash the subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I will see you in the next one.